Hi, hello there. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Linda Helgeson, and I am with Sweet Aria Decor. It's my wreath making and tree making business that I started back in 2016. So I am doing my very first live, so please be gentle with me, okay? All right, we'll see how this goes. Today I just wanted to give you kind of a tour around where I craft, how I have my space set up, and how I have different supplies set up, and then my favorite tools. Every wreath maker kind of has their own way of doing things, and a lot of this was trial and error on my part, watching other people, getting their advice. So hopefully today I can help somebody else who is trying to get into this and help them figure out what they need to get started and enter the world of wreathing. It's crazy. Come on in. All right, so I'm going to flip this around, kind of show you my space. So this is the home office. I used to, up until 2 months ago, have an actual full-time job. I got downsized, so that's all right. Everything happens for a reason, and now I can focus on my crafting and homeschooling my daughter. So this is my space. I've got all my 10-inch and 12-inch mesh kind of put into these sideways. You can see that they're crates and they stack pretty well. It's kind of handy. Over here I've got a little table set up. That is my Cricut. I don't really use that for anything wreathing. I use it more for fun stuff. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with that one, but I am loving that. This here, something my husband got for me last Christmas. This 36-inch mat has been very helpful with some of the larger projects. I do have a smaller one that I'll show you in a minute, and I like to keep that just kind of as my workspace because I work on a card table, and I don't really want anything, the scissors or anything cutting through that, so it's been nice and handy. This is awesome. I got this online. I don't get any promos or plugs or anything from this. This is just me telling you what I like. This is the Susie's Triple Stationary Mesh Roller from Susie's Wreaths and Things, and this has been fantastic. It's got measurements on there, but it helps you roll the mesh. It comes underneath here, and then it comes out here, and then you can just cut it. It keeps it from rolling up. It's been very, very helpful because, you know, if you've worked with this deco mesh before, those little ends on here, these little suckers get stuck to everything. The other mesh, mostly to my shirt. So I can't tell you how many shirts I've gone through. So now I just wear nothing but junky old t-shirts. So I'm very good that we've been in quarantine because I have looked terrible. Over on this side, this is just bins. Bins of stuff are great. Most of this is kind of just storing stuff till I need it. As we all know, the problem with bins is it looks great and you put it in a bin, but then you put another bin in front of that bin and then you forget you have it. So then either you buy it again or you completely forget about it and then you find it after you've had the perfect project for it. It gets frustrating. So I'll show you in the other room how I've got a lot of stuff laid out now. I use a craft cart. I thought I would roll it around more and more depending on where I was crafting, but no, it pretty much sits there. These are shoe racks I got on Amazon. You'll see that they're individual racks. I've stacked them too tall, and then I have zip tied them together. So I have, I think, at least 6 of them here. The ones that I have, they're a little flimsy, so I've got them zip tied together just for stability. But I have knocked into them more than once or twice, and it has been a tsunami of ribbon. It was a little scary, but it looked really pretty coming at my head. So I do recommend, though, trying some kind of shoe racks for these. I had tried running dowels through the center of the ribbons, and that works great until you have to get off the ribbon that's in the center, and then you have to take the dowel off. You got to put all the ribbon out. And it was kind of too much work. Up here, I have a nice grid wall. Grid walls have been my savior. I'll show you in the other room. I started using them when I actually did craft shows, and that was pretty handy to have. I originally started with the racks that, like the shelving racks that you can get from your local home improvement store. But these have proven to be much easier, much more stable, and they're taller, and they don't have any sharp ends. because I cut myself a couple times. All right, so this is the first grapevine mesh that I did a couple weeks ago. It was my first time. I used so much glue. I glued myself to the wreath, I glued myself to the ribbons, I glued myself to the florals. But I would rather lose skin than ruin my creation, so they will heal. All right, this is primarily where I do most of my work. I have a lot of great tools here. I use these two tools for the bow making. The first one is the Pro Bow, the hand, and the Deluxe Easy Bow Maker. I know if you've watched people like Damon Oates, the wreathing god, whom I love so much, I think he uses the Easy Bow Maker a lot, but he has used Pro Bow, the hand, as well. What I like to do is when I cut my ribbon tails, I actually will just loop it around there and another one and just kind of keep looping it around and around, and then cut the ends. So then I've kind of basically pre-measured my tails, and then I just, you know, snip them as needed. But it's a very fast way to get the ribbon tails cut. And the Easy Bow Maker I like because it lets you give more control over exactly, you know, the size of your loops, and it's easier, I think, for layering. If I've got, you know, 2 ribbons that I'm using with the Pro Bow, that's great because, you know, they nest inside each other. But if I want to add different layers here and there, to me, it is easier to use the Easy Bow Maker. The next thing I have here, these are little bins, just for, like, almost totes, I guess. The reason I like these is because, you know, when you go out to the craft store and you're like, oh, this ribbon goes great with these picks and it would match with this and that, and you get home and you put your ribbon with your ribbon and you put your other stuff with your other stuff, and you kind of forgot that you wanted it to go together. So that's why I like using these. I can put it in here, say, okay, here's everything I need for that one project. So the next time I have an hour free, I want to make a wreath, I'll just come, I will grab the stuff, like, for example, this in a tote, and I'm pretty much all set to go. I don't have to hunt for anything. I find that to be the least stressful, because when you're crafting, you're doing this to try to relieve stress, because believe me, ain't we all got enough stress going on these days? We need something to let it out. So I try to use that as my time to relax. Doesn't always work. The mesh gets tangled. I end up getting so much glitter on me that I look like a stripper. That's okay. You know, just got to do what we got to do. What I recommend having, too, is a caddy. These are fantastic. It spins, yay, when you don't have stuff knocking into it. But it's very handy to have keep everything together. Like all of the zip ties would be in one, all of the scissors in another. And then I use the top to hold my chenille stems. Or if there's something like a pick that I know I'm going to be using soon, I'll put it in there as well. It's very handy to have. The other thing is a hole punch. Those go together nicely with your business cards. If you are going to try to sell at craft shows or on Etsy, highly, highly recommend having business cards. You know, you make someone a wreath and they take it home and people say, oh my gosh, I love it. It's beautiful. Where did you get it? You don't want them to say, well, I got it at this craft show, but I don't know who made it. They can flip their wreath around and you just take a zip tie, punch a hole in the corner, and it's on the back of your wreath. So they will always remember who made it. They can tell their friends, but more importantly, you get a repeat sale. It's got all your information on there. Very helpful idea that I did not do the first year and wish I had. A couple other things I have here are, I used to be throwing all my clipped ribbon tails in the garbage. But then some of them would fly out. You know, you put other garbage in there and it just flies back out at you. I've been using like extra little plastic containers, like ornaments came in this one. Find it very handy to have in there, but also it looks really pretty and it reminds you of what you made. So it's very nice to have. Next, I actually have just a little bit of bucket for all the little tiny knickknacks, like my glue gun, pins, you know, the super glue, any type of small little thing that you just want to keep out, but you don't want to keep knocking it over, because I am the queen of knocking stuff over. If I knock it over with a wreath, sometimes I've knocked it over with my boobs, you know, it just, it makes a mess. So anything that helps keep you organized. And then I love this. This is a tiny little broom. It's handy to have, you know, sweeping up stuff that might be sitting here, you know, on top of the table. And then that's great. But I think the most underrated tool in this entire business is a little mini squeegee. This thing will grab all the tiny little bits of sparkle that perhaps, oh, the brush didn't quite get it all. Well, then we got this thing can come along and really get a lot more of it off. Oh, that's a ring. That's left over from when I had McDonald's this week. That was from soda. So there we go. All right, so we're going to walk across the hall now. I'm going to show you just briefly. This is how I've decorated the entryway to the house. This is the first time I ever made such a big garland. Most of my garlands in the past were, you know, they were simple, didn't have a lot in there, but I was inspired by watching people like Damon make them, so I decided, you know what, let's see what we can build here. So this year I finally did the garland. I had about 3 to 4 hours on the first one, but then the first one stopped right about there. So then I had to order stuff because I wanted to make a second one, and then I finished it going all the way up and around, and then kind of down. So all in all, probably about 6 to 7 hours worth of work. But it was fun. Oh, Maureen is watching. Hello, my sweet friend Maureen. I miss you so much. And this was a wreath. I made this like 2 years ago, and I liked it, so I kept it. There's a lot of people that'll do that. You like it? Oh, I'm not going to sell that after all. Let's keep it. So that's what I did. And then this is a little lantern. I did just a bow topper on top of there. It's kind of fun. Adds a little fun touch. All right, so here, this would be in a normal house, a living room, but I am not normal. My family is not normal. So we decided when we took out the family room furniture, the couch had died. We loved that couch, but it was no more. You know, when the pleather starts peeling off the back, it was shedding its skin like a snake, had to get rid of it. So we moved the living room furniture into the family room. And we're like, well, what are we going to put in here? Well, gee, let me think. We have all of our kids in the house, and some of them live in the basement. They're adults, but I didn't have a basement room, so we took this over. So this, dear God, if I ever have to sell this house, people are going to wonder what the heck I did. But this is my living room. It's a mess. All right, so I'm going to come back over here. So there's a little cart that holds all the vinyl for the Cricut. Then I have 2 racks. These rolling racks are really nice. I like the metal ones. They have telescoping tops, which is nice because it slides out and it gives you an extra foot on each side, which is always handy to have. I've actually taken these into the craft shows. I had to rent a U-Haul once, and I just rolled it on into the U-Haul, and I strapped it in there with some bungees and rolled it right on into the show. And it was a lot easier than carrying them 1 by 1 or 4 by 4, you know. We all try to be a human octopus when we carry stuff in there, but there's a limit. So I've got those. I've got another rack over here. But I will show you, this is what I am most proud of. This is my wall of ribbon. Oh, and the gods sang. I bought a ton of ribbon when Joanne and Hobby Lobby and Michael's were having their after Christmas season clearance, and I went nuts one year, and I had to call my husband, who was in the car, and I was like, hey, can you come in and help me? And that was a huge ask because he freaking hates craft stores. So, you know, of course he married me. He knew what he was getting into. So this is where I keep all of it. I try to sort it so it's all like with like, because again, the biggest problem we have is we buy all this stuff and then we forget what we have. So at least I can come in, take inventory, and being able to see with these pegs, I can actually see all the different ribbons, which is very helpful because then I can pick out the combinations that I think are going to look good, or, you know, kind of try to group things together if I know I want to use them together. But a lot of the times, I don't know, I just come in here and just sit at this thing and think, oh my God, how much have I spent? And does my husband know? Because he's going to kill me. But he doesn't ask and I don't tell. So And that wall of ribbon continues around. The nice thing I have on the other side, which I love, is I got these bins that hook into these racks. So this sits on a gondola. The wheels broke because they were plastic, and it didn't know that it was going to have a mother load resting on it. I think this probably weighs as much as a car with everything on there, but I have these little discs on the bottom. They're furniture moving discs, and it really helps me be able to slide this stuff around. If they were on wheels, sometimes the wheels jerk and everything kind of like jumps when you move it. And I had this thing basically almost fall on me once, and my son Noah had to help me. Help, mommy, mommy's stuck. That was not fun. Let's see, over here is where we get all the tubing. And then over here on the back side, I don't know if you can see it very well, this is where I've got all the different wreath frames. So I can kind of come around here, poke around, see what I need to get, try to grab it, knock it off, ends up on the floor, and then I send my 7-year-old and pick it up because she's tiny and she can help. All right, moving over here then. Sorry, blinding light here. Let me move it a little bit. This is the wall mesh. And then lights, I try to group it all together by color. Sometimes it works, sometimes I get lazy and just shove it wherever it fits. And then this is where I have ornaments. I originally started out using these like glass ornaments that I was able to get from Hobby Lobby, and then realized when I put them on the mesh trees, I need to switch to shatterproof. So I do have a lot of ornaments left on there, but again, it's nice to have it out, nice to be able to see, but still, like everything else, bins, and more bins. I had to put a divider. My daughter's homeschooling is on the other side of there in the dining room. I don't want her classmates seeing what I'm doing during the day. Mostly, I don't want her and her teachers to see that I'm still in my pajamas. All right, last, we've got, this is where I set up to do some instructional, it wasn't quite a video, it was an instructional document that I put together on how to make these trees. So I am known around here as the mesh tree lady, which is fun. You know, the craft shows, you know, people come out and I see the same people year after year, and, you know, multiple repeat customers. So it's nice getting that word of mouth out there. So I've started tagging myself as the mesh tree lady. I do have a website, meshtrees.com, which has all the different trees listed. Some are for sale, others are just kind of inspiration, but I do custom orders, and I love making these. So these are tomato cage trees. They are very lightweight. They probably weigh less than 5 pounds a piece once you get everything put on there. But I've seen a lot of people, you know, wrap around the mesh, or they do it a different way. I have a very unique way of how I do it. I like it to look like tree branches, like boughs on a tree. You know, so it's more, hey, you can see the individual boughs. It just, if it's a tree, I want it to look like a tree. But I do a lot of them that have lights. I also do ones that kind of come up to like maybe here on the height, so it's more of a tabletop version. So that's kind of the business I'm trying to push myself into right now. And again, more wreaths. This is my favorite box. These are ornaments. They're shatterproof ornaments. They are from Dollar Tree, and they come in a tube of usually 12 for $1. 12 for $1. You can't go wrong. And they usually have a great assortment of colors, but the problem is that if you don't get them by like Thanksgiving, you're not going to find them. So I usually have family members going out and trying to find little things of ornaments, and I like them a lot. I mean, they're nice to work with. They don't shed the glitter. Most of the time, they don't crack. You know, for $1, it's just can't go wrong. Mostly reds, greens. They have silver. They usually have gold as well. Love Dollar Tree and their wreath frames. Can't go wrong there either. So I'll flip it back around. So that's me. That's my stuff. That stuff is encroaching over the rest of my entire household. It's taken over, but, you know, that's okay. You know, usually most of these wreaths would be going for craft shows or being sold. Due to COVID, Most people aren't having shows. If they do have shows, I don't want to go. I can't risk bringing that into the household because we have someone who's got a compromised immune system here. So I post what I can on Etsy. It's growing, you know, there's a lot out there, but I'm trying to learn how to get traffic out there. But I'm going to focus now on my wreaths and my trees. I think I'm probably going to start doing some lives that show people how to make these trees. It probably would be like an hour and a half live. Usually takes me about maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours now to make a tree, sometimes a little bit longer. It all depends if second grade math homework calls me away. So we'll see. But I appreciate you watching. Thank y'all very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and happy Halloween. Woo! Bye, guys.